Welcome to the Gaston College Writing Center's workshop on MLA Style. This workshop will cover MLA Style formatting, in-text citations, and Works Cited page. MLA stands for Modern Language Association and is most commonly used within the liberal arts and humanities. It is used to establish credibility and avoid plagiarism when writing an essay that uses outside sources. Let's start with formatting. MLA Style does not require a title page, so all of your identifying information goes on the first page of the essay, with your name, the instructor's name, the class, and the date in the upper left corner. Notice that the format of the date in MLA Style is day, month, year, with no punctuation unless the month is abbreviated, which would call for a period there. All of the months, except May, June, and July, can and should be abbreviated in MLA Style. The upper right corner of the first page contains your last name to the left of the page number. Add this by inserting the page number, tapping your last name, and then putting one space in between. Make sure to set it to Times New Roman 12-point font, which is the same font and font size the entire essay should be written in. Your title will be centered at the top of the page without underlining or bolding. Finally, be sure the document is set to be double-spaced with 1-inch margins on all sides. Once these formatting aspects of MLA Style are squared away, you are ready to begin typing your paper. Many students have questions about when citation is necessary. Anytime you make a claim or refer to information that is not common knowledge, you must cite the source where you found that information. Common knowledge like the sky is blue or George Washington was the first president of the United States does not need to be cited. In addition, there is no need to cite your own thoughts and opinions. However, the information that supports your argument should be cited. There are two types of citation in MLA Style: in-text or parenthetical citation, and the Works Cited page. The basic format of an in-text citation includes the author's last name and a page number. We will cover other scenarios for in-text citations later in this workshop. The Works Cited page is the final page of your paper and contains an alphabetized list of all of the sources cited in your paper, including books, articles, and web pages. These entries are longer than in-text citations and include information such as the author or authors' names, the name of the publisher, the date of publication, and the web address. Please note that in-text citations and Works Cited entries go hand in hand. Anything you cite in text must also be included on your Works Cited page, and vice versa. Now, let's go a little more in depth with how to compose MLA Style in-text citations. As stated before, each in-text citation in your paper must correspond with an entry on your Works Cited page. In addition, in order to prevent instances of plagiarism, in-text citations must be present anytime you are either directly quoting or paraphrasing from a source. As stated earlier, the basic format for an in-text citation is author's last name plus page number. Notice that there is no punctuation in between, just a space. Two other important notes about in-text citations. For online sources, which usually don't have page numbers, it is okay to use just the author's last name. However, if you are working with a source that does have page numbers, note that if the page numbers have 3 digits and the first digit is the same in both, you can omit the first digit on the second listed page number, as shown here. When using a direct quote, always make sure to use quotation marks to avoid plagiarism and so that the reader will know you are using the original author's exact words. You may use the author's name either in the sentence or in the citation, as shown in these two examples. Wordsworth stated that romantic poetry was marked by a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, 263, and romantic poetry is characterized by the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, Wordsworth, 263. Notice how, when you work the author's name into the sentence, you do not have to repeat it in the in-text citation. Also, note that the period goes after the citation. To remember this, it can be helpful to think of the in-text citation as the last part of the sentence. Paraphrasing refers to when, rather than using a direct quote, you put the author's original statement into your own words. Quotation marks are not necessary when paraphrasing. This example, Wordsworth extensively explored the role of emotion in the creative process, 263, shows a paraphrase from the quote in the previous examples. Just remember that putting things in your own words does not simply mean using a thesaurus to swap out as many words as possible in a sentence. It means crafting your own, differently structured sentence that retains the original author's thought but is conveyed in your voice. Creating a paraphrase that is too close to the original is considered a form of plagiarism. When citing a work with two authors, use their last names in the text or in an in-text citation. For example, Smith and Wesson argue that tougher gun control is not needed in the United States, 76. Or, the authors state, tighter gun control in the United States erodes Second Amendment rights, Smith and Wesson, 76. Please note that some instructors may want you to use the author's full names and possibly even some information indicating their credentials the first time you mention them in a sentence. However, you should always use only their last names in an in-text citation. For a source with 3 or more authors, only provide the first author's last name, followed by the Latin phrase et al., meaning and others. The period is included as well, as shown in this example. Legal experts counter Thompson et al.'s argument by noting that the current spike in gun violence in America compels lawmakers to adjust gun laws. Jones et al. 4. When a source has no known author, use the title of the work instead, shortening it if it is more than 4 words long, as shown in this example. We see so many global warming hotspots in North America, likely because this region has more readily accessible climatic data and more comprehensive programs to monitor and study environmental change. Put the title in quotation marks for an article, but use italics for a book title. Sometimes, an organization can be treated as the author. However, this should only be done if the work has a separate publisher. If the organization is both the author and the publisher of the work, treat the organization as the publisher only, and use the article title or a shortened version of it in the in-text citation. When working with a source that does not have page numbers, as is the case with most electronic sources, try to cite the work in your discussion rather than in a parenthetical reference. For example, in her article, Limited Horizons, Lynn Cheney observes that schools do best when students read literature not for practical information, but for its insights into the human condition. However, if you do use an in-text citation for a source with no page numbers, simply omit that information. Now, we'll shift to talking about how to create an MLA Style Works Cited page. The Works Cited page will be the last page of your essay. Works Cited should be centered at the top of the page, with no bolding, italics, or underlining. Be sure to maintain double spacing on your Works Cited page, using a hanging indent, where the first line of each entry is not indented, but the lines underneath are, and organize the entries in alphabetical order. A basic entry for a book with one author begins with the author's name in last name, first name format, followed by a period. The next element is the title of the book in italics, then another period, followed by the publisher, a comma, and the year of publication. Note that an additional element, the city of publication, should appear before the name of the publisher only if the book was published before 1900, if the publisher has offices in more than one country, or if the publisher is unknown in North America. For a book with two authors, put the first author's name in the last name, first name format, but do not reverse the second author's name. Use a comma and the word "and" to separate the two authors' names. If there are 3 or more authors, list only the first author, followed by et al. The same author guidelines apply to other types of sources as well, including newspaper and magazine articles. After the author or authors' names, the next component of these types of works cited entries is the article title, which appears in quotation marks. The title of the newspaper or magazine comes next and should be italicized. Follow that with the date of publication in the same day, month, year format as mentioned previously, and end the entry with page numbers and a period. Remember to abbreviate the month of publication unless it is May, June, or July. It's likely that the most common types of sources you will use for your academic essays are electronic ones, whether that means web pages or peer-reviewed articles from databases like ProQuest or Google Scholar. While not every electronic source will have all of the information that could be included in a works cited page entry, there are some common features to look for, including author or editor's names, an article title in quotation marks, title of the website, project, or book in italics, publishing information including the publisher's name and date of publication, and page numbers, which will probably only exist if the document is a PDF. If the source is undated, you will need to end the citation with the date you first accessed the material. Furthermore, while not strictly required, MLA recommends providing an access date for any web-based material that could be updated or changed in the future. This example shows a typical works cited page entry for an undated electronic source. It begins with the author's name in reverse order, Lundman, Susan, followed by a period. The next element is the article title in quotation marks, also followed by a period. The website name in italics comes next, then the URL. Finally, end the entry with the word accessed and the access date in the day, month, year format. Some instructors may require that some or all of your sources come from a database, such as the ones provided on the Gaston College Library's website or Google Scholar. If your source comes from one of those databases, that element will also be included in your citation for that source and will be italicized. The types of academic journal articles, professional publications, or government documents often found in databases may also have what is called a DOI, which stands for Digital Object Identifier, a long-lasting reference that does not change like an ordinary web address can. If your source has a DOI, it should be used in the works cited page entry for that source rather than a URL. This example shows the most common elements of an MLA style entry for a source obtained from a database, including authors' names, article title in quotation marks, journal title in italics, volume number, issue number, date of publication, page numbers, the name of the database in italics, and the date of access. For further help with writing essays using MLA style, please see other materials within this LibGuide on the Gaston College Library's webpage. Purdue University's online writing lab, better known as Purdue OWL, is also a great source for help with using MLA style. And of course, the Gaston College Writing Center is an excellent resource. Our coaches are knowledgeable and have lots of experience helping students with MLA style papers. Finally, while it may be tempting to use citation generators, we don't recommend using them, as they are often prone to error. If you have any questions or wish to make an appointment with the Gaston College Writing Center, feel free to contact us at 704-922-2369 or via email at writingcenter@gaston.edu. You may also stop by and see us on the second floor of Morris Library, room 204. In addition, appointment requests can be submitted online by visiting the Gaston College website and clicking on Student Resources, then Writing Center. There, you will find a link to our online request form. We look forward to working with you on all things MLA.